Hey everyone, Dan here from The Joyful Trader again. I've got a question for you. Have you ever felt like it's too late to start something new? Like the world has already moved on without you and you're just too old to catch up? Well, I can tell you that I've thought this way more times than I can remember. And if you've ever had those thoughts, stick around because this video is for you. All right, hi everyone, Dan here once again, The Joyful Trader. I'm a full-time surgical nurse by day. I'm an active trader and investor, a side hustle enthusiast, and I spent 22 years as a CEO of my own software company. So recently I replied to a post on Reddit that got a lot of attention and a lot of positive feedback. The question was all about feeling too old to start a YouTube channel or anything new for that matter. My contribution to the conversation was simple. I just said, hey, I'm 59 years old. I started up an old dead YouTube channel from 5 years ago. I love the writing, the editing, the goal setting, the whole process of creation. And I went on to say that when I was 44, I started a 4-year degree in nursing school, earning a BSN, when everyone told me that I was way too old for that. And since graduating, I've become a surgical nurse. I specialized in spine and brain surgery. So just do things that you want to do regardless of age, enjoy the process, and leave comparisons to others out of the picture. And my answer really seemed to resonate with a lot of people in a positive way. So today I just wanted to kind of dive deeper into this whole idea and talk about why I think age doesn't matter when it comes to starting something new. Whether you're learning a new skill, you're starting a new career, or even just picking up a new hobby, it's never too late. So here's what we'll be covering today. I'll be talking a little bit about my personal journey, sharing a little bit of my own story from restarting my YouTube channel to switching careers at age 48 after spending 22 years as a head of a software company. We'll talk a little bit about the myth of age limits, and we'll debunk some common misconceptions about age and success. We'll talk a little bit about incredible health and brain benefits that come with starting something new and starting new endeavors and challenging ourselves. We'll talk a little bit about embracing those new challenges, discussing the importance of continuous learning and growth, and I'll share some practical tips on how to set goals, stay motivated, and enjoy the journey without comparing yourself to others. And one of my favorites, living a well-balanced life. This is a big part of balancing work, learning, and personal life. And I'll give you a peek into my daily routine or some of my daily routines and how I attempt to keep everything in balance while still enjoying my life to the fullest. And then we'll be talking about overcoming self-doubt. It's tackling those fears and doubts that hold us back, that little voice inside of our head. I'll share some strategies to overcome these obstacles and how to adapt a positive mindset so that you can confidently pursue those passions. Remember that it is never too late to start something new. And in fact, you owe it to yourself to do it. Do it now. Embrace the journey, enjoy the process, and let's live life to the fullest. All right, so let's jump into my personal journey and see how I managed to make some pretty big changes in my life, even when everyone around me said that I was too old for it. So let's rewind a little bit. I'm 59 now as of the date of this recording, but just recently I decided to revive an old YouTube channel that had been dead for about 5 years back. I talk a little bit about that in a video that I made a month or so ago about where I've been and why I'm coming back. So you might think, why would I do this at age 59? It's because I love it. I love the writing, I love the editing, I love the goal setting, the whole creative process about thinking about what to talk about, and there's a lot that I won't like to talk about. It's all a passion of mine. It also serves to act as an exercise for my brain. It gives me structure in my week, and it helps me to stay on task with not just the production of these videos, but everything else in my life that I have to do in order to fit this in. So it actually works to my benefit. But let's go back even further. When I was 44, I decided to make a huge career change. I left my job in software development from a company that I'd started when I was in my early 20s. I'd been doing this for years and years, but it had just been getting to a point where there's no longer any joy in what I was doing, and I was just swamped with this constant feeling of work and everything was out of balance. So I took some time off and thought about what I wanted to do. So I decided to go back to school at age 44 and earn a BSN degree. And at that time, I had never graduated from college before. And so I was really curious as to whether or not I could even do it. And let me tell you, there was a variety of people around me that thought I was kind of crazy. And they would say things like, you're way too old for going back to school. You're going to feel out of place compared to all the other students. And you're going to be starting a career way late in life, and you're barely going to have enough time to really do it before you retire. But I didn't really care what others felt about my decision because I was only interested in my own private and personal challenge to see if I could do it. I focused on my goal. I enjoyed the learning process, and it was one of the best decisions I ever made for so many reasons. I met so many great people. It was such a mental challenge to me. I felt like my brain was being sharpened every day. So why am I telling you this? Because I want to impress upon you that it's never too late to start something new. Age is not a barrier to pursuing your dreams. Whether it's restarting a YouTube channel, going back to school, or picking up a new hobby, you can do it. Think of how old you feel in your brain right now. I'm willing to bet that you still feel young in your brain, like your brain hasn't aged, although your body might have. So when they say that age is just a number, it really is true. And so I've learned to view the world around me through that lens of how old I feel mentally, rather than to be influenced by the actual number of years that I've lived. So when I decided to become a nurse, I didn't think about how old I was or how long it would take me or even how long I would end up practicing in my new career. I just focused on enjoying each class, each day, each clinical rotation, and each new thing that I learned that I had never knew before. I especially enjoyed getting to know all the different people in my cohort, and I enjoyed going out with them for a drink after a major test or a milestone, and some of these folks have become very close friends of mine even to this day. And had I not stepped out and done that, I would have never met them and the connections that they've brought me. It seems like life is a series of bridges that just leapfrog into meeting new people, encountering new opportunities, new experiences, and they all add up into the fabric that make our lives rich and full. And the same goes for my YouTube channel. I'm not just looking at subscriber counts or views or trying to force things to happen quicker than they should. I'm just enjoying the process of creating content and connecting with people like you, and then getting emails offline of how I encouraged people or said something that meant something to them, and very rewarding. And in the end, the metrics will take care of themselves and they'll grow organically. My goal is to enjoy the process of just creating content, sharing with people things that I've learned over my life, and if it resonates with some people, then that's great. That's my reward. The process for me is my reward. Enjoy the journey, focus on your interests, and leave the comparisons to others out of the picture. All right, let's move on to debunking some common misconceptions about age and success. I want to talk for a moment about the myth that you're too old to learn something new or start new ventures. Whether it's learning to trade options, starting a YouTube channel, exercise, learning an instrument, or even falling in love. Being too old for these types of things is a myth. But staying mentally active by learning new things can significantly slow cognitive decline, and it can keep your brain sharp as you age. You know, when I was in nursing school at Oregon Health Sciences University, they were doing a lot of research up there studying the links between cognitive health, cognitive restoration, and the links to the activities involved in learning new things, especially musical in nature. So I was fascinated to attend lots of lectures about what they're learning about this, what the brain scans are showing in people who are either at risk for developing cognitive impairments or those that have already incurred them to some degree. And the results were so exciting to me, and to understand that we can actually influence our own brain's health by what we do for it was just fantastic. So the research clearly shows that engaging in activities that challenge your brain, like learning a new skill, playing a musical instrument, or even picking up a new hobby, can create new neural connections and improve cognitive function. This is thanks to a concept that we know called neuroplasticity, which is the brain's ability to adapt and reorganize itself by forming new neural pathways. By continually learning and challenging yourself, you can maintain and even improve your cognitive abilities. You can enhance memory, problem-solving skills, and just overall mental agility. And moreover, studies have found that individuals who regularly engage in mentally stimulating activities, they tend to have a lower risk of developing developing dementia and other cognitive impairments. And the process of playing a musical instrument seems to be an activity that had the most impact because our brain processes music and the act of playing an instrument through at least 5 major cognitive centers in the brain all at once, all at the same time. So the connections happening in this process span some of the widest use of our brain's processing centers. And to see the scans of people who are actively involved in playing music and even listening to music is really interesting because you can just see all of these areas of the brain lighting up all at once. It's really quite amazing. I remember one study showing how a group of individuals that suffered from a certain cognitive decline due to a reduced myelin sheathing were able to measurably repair their brain functions simply because they picked up an instrument and began to learn it. Or if they already knew it, they pushed themselves to learn something a little bit more difficult. This is incredibly exciting. I've been a guitarist for 40 years, and I know a few things, but there's still a world of music and technique for me to improve upon. And so, I don't know, about 2 years ago, I began to invest more of my time practicing new skills to take my playing to the next level. And this is the primary reason why I was inspired from these lectures. And the good news is you don't have to be great at them. It's just the act of doing them and learning about them. So the next time you think you're too old to start something new, remember that staying mentally active has protective value to keep your brain young, not just mentally, but physically as well. Don't wait, do it now. Don't overthink it. All right, now that we've talked a little bit about the myth of age limits, let's talk about embracing new challenges and enjoying the process of learning and growing. And first off, it's important to remember that learning something new can be incredibly rewarding. It's not a chore. One of the keys to successfully embracing new challenges is setting those realistic milestones. Start small and gradually increase the complexity as you become more comfortable. This approach helps you to stay motivated and it prevents you from feeling overwhelmed. Time for coffee. So good. Another great mental tip is to focus on the process rather than the outcome. Enjoy each moment of learning and exploration. Take time to appreciate the small milestones that you achieve. This mindset not only makes the journey more enjoyable, but it reduces the pressure to achieve perfection right away. This is a trap a lot of younger people struggle with, myself included. Always feeling that I have to succeed from 0 to 100 as quickly as possible, while simultaneously feeling like I'm failing and just not moving fast enough. It's crucial to avoid comparing yourself to others. Here's one of the most liberating concepts for me when I finally got around to embracing it, and that is nobody cares. Nobody cares. What do I mean by this? When people express concern because you're starting back to school or starting a YouTube channel or learning to manage your investments more directly, they're not going to be tossing and turning in bed because you're making positive changes in your life. People do not perseverate on what you do nearly as much as you think they do. Realizing that truth liberates you to move forward without trying to please others. Pleasing others doesn't extend your lifespan and improve your mind, but doing things that contribute to your own overall mental and physical health makes you a better person, which then in turn makes you a better person for others. I hope that makes sense. Is that confusing? Let me know in the comments down below. Everyone's learning journey is unique, and what matters most is your own progress. Social media and other platforms can sometimes make it seem like everyone else is achieving great things effortlessly. Without effort. But remember, you're only seeing the highlight reel. Stay focused on your own path and celebrate your personal achievements. Staying motivated can sometimes be challenging, yes, especially when you're trying something new, but here's a few little strategies that might help. Set clear, achievable milestones. Break the larger ones into smaller, manageable tasks. Find a community that you can involve yourself with where you've got groups or forums of people that can share your progress and support each other. Keep a learning journal. Document your progress, your challenges, your successes. This can be a great way to see how far you've come, and it helps you to stay motivated. And reward yourself. Celebrate your achievements, no matter how small they are. Treat yourself to something that you enjoy as a reward for your own hard work. All right, now that we've talked a little bit about embracing new challenges, let's discuss how to balance all of this with your work and your personal life. After all, living a well-rounded and fulfilling life is about more than just learning new skills. It's about finding harmony in all the areas of your life. The slogan that I have here on this channel is to trade wisely and live fully. And the second part of that really is the most important thing for me to embrace. But I personally can't enjoy any successes in my life if I can't enjoy the life that I have by taking time to give myself the opportunities to do all the other things. These things include exercise, fixing healthy meals, listening to good jazz music while enjoying a glass of wine, sometimes taking a reflective walk, going out with friends, having a laugh. One of the things that I've learned over the years is the importance of maintaining a healthy work-life balance. And whether you're working full-time, you're taking care of a family, or you're juggling all kinds of multiple responsibilities, it's really crucial to find time for yourself and your interests. It might seem tough at first, but with a little planning, it's definitely achievable. That is to say, these things just don't happen naturally. And that's true for me. Even for my downtime activities, I find that I at least need to sort of plan them, because if I don't, then it's likely that I won't do them. So here's a few practical tips for balancing your work and learning in your personal life in no particular order. Prioritize your tasks. Identify what's the most important thing for you to do today. Allocate your time accordingly. Knock that out first and as early as you can. For instance, I make sure to set aside time each day for either walking or running, eating healthy, always listening to music, learning a new recipe, practicing guitar, working on learning French, and also just sitting outside on a nice day and letting my mind wander. Now, I don't do all of those every single day all at once, but these activities help to keep me physically fit and mentally fit, and they help me to clear my mind and reduce stress. Plan your day in advance as best as possible. Create a schedule that includes time for work, learning, and relaxation, with the understanding that you might need to be flexible as things happen. This might mean waking up a little bit earlier to get in a quick workout, or quietly drink your coffee, or setting aside an hour in the evening for a hobby or your learning activities. The goal here is to create a routine that supports your overall well-being. And it's also important to set boundaries. When you're working, focus on work. When you're learning or enjoying your personal time, try to be fully present in those moments. This helps prevent burnout, ensures that you're giving your best effort to each area of your life. Now, a little peek into my own daily routine. As many of you know, I'm a full-time surgical nurse, but I work, 3 or 4 days a week. And so that gives me a couple of days off, including the weekends. But I also actively manage a large portion of my investments. I run this YouTube channel, and I make sure to stay active. I usually run for about 30 minutes, 3 or 4 times a week. It's a great way for me to wake up and get my blood pumping. Some people do it in the evenings. That's fine. Doesn't matter. It's just what works for me and makes me feel good. Then I focus on my work at the hospital. I make sure to take short breaks, stay refreshed. And at lunch, I even take these little 15-minute power naps where I just sort of close my eyes and relax. But I find that process to be hugely restorative as I start my afternoons. I'm also careful not to eat stuff at lunch that's going to make me crash in the afternoon. Sugary, sweet, those kinds of foods that would just make me want to take a nap. In the evenings, I spend my time working on YouTube content, planning, writing, editing videos. And of course, I make sure to set aside time to relax every night, unwind, go outside. If I'm not running that day, I'll take a walk. I'll put on my headphones, listen to good music. And typically for managing my investments, I enter most of my trades on my day off or days off, which is usually Thursdays. And so I will enter the market on those days. I'll do my research the night before. I'll have a pretty good idea of what I want to do for investments on that Thursday. And then throughout the week, I'll manage those trades by glancing at the end of the day and see how they're doing. And if I need to make adjustments, I can easily do that, put orders in place so that they'll hit the market when it opens the next morning. Finding this balance has been key to my happiness and success, and it's still a process. It's about making intentional choices that support your overall well-being. So whether you're learning a new skill, you're working on your career, or just trying to enjoy life more, remember that balance is crucial. And don't forget to make a plan to reward yourself for having that downtime. I know for me, I didn't used to do that. And I used to just sort of think, well, I'm just going to not do anything this afternoon, or I'm going to take an hour at some point and do such and such. But I found that without actually putting it into a plan, most of the time, I never got around to it. I got distracted, did something else. But I noticed for me, when I started actually making a plan to where, okay, on this day, I'm going to, take an hour, hour and a half and practice my guitar. Then I'm going to go and sit outside or go for a run or whatever it is. Then I find that it works better for me. Like I actually do more of the things that I really like to do. There's this great quote from the second Matrix movie that I love, where the Merovingian tells them,
"But then if we do not ever take time, how can we ever have time?"
And when I first heard that, I thought, oh, that's really cool. I mean, that actually really stuck with me. And even to this day, it's something I think about and I remember. So I have to take time in order to have it. All right, let me talk a little bit about something that often holds us back from pursuing our dreams. And this is a big one. This is self-doubt. This is that feeling of being an imposter. Like, I can't do that. I'm not good enough because, this person over here has already been doing it for years. There's no room for me. There's so much better, etc. We've all experienced those nagging fears and those doubts that make us question whether we're even capable or deserving of having success. But here's the thing. Self-doubt is totally normal, but it's something that we can overcome with the right mindset and strategies. First, let's address the root of self-doubt. It often stems from fear of failure, fear of judgment, the fear of the unknown. These fears can be paralyzing, but they don't have to be. Recognizing that these feelings are a natural part of stepping out of your comfort zone is the first step to overcoming them. It's totally normal to feel this way. Everyone does. Even the people that you think are ultra successful and confident, inside, they feel the same way too. So one effective strategy to combat self-doubt is to focus on your past successes. Think about a time when you achieved something that you initially thought was impossible. Reflecting on those moments can remind you of the capabilities and the resilience that you possess. For example, when I decided to go back to nursing school starting at age 44, I was filled with amazing self-doubts. But looking back, I remember how I persevered through every challenge and ultimately succeeded. And I used those memories as a source of strength and confidence when I start to feel that way again. Another powerful tool is positive self-talk, replacing the negative thoughts with affirmations and constructive messages. Instead of thinking, I can't do this, get into the habit of telling yourself, I can learn and improve. Fire back at those negative self-thoughts and get into the habit of always responding in the affirmative to them. The way you talk to yourself really does matter. And although at first you may find that you're forcing yourself to say these self-assuring things, it'll become habit as each day goes by, and soon you can't help but to think that way instead of the negative self-talk. It just becomes a habit. Seeking support from others can also be incredibly helpful, so share your goals and fears with trusted friends, family members, or mentors. Sometimes a little encouragement and perspective from someone else that you trust can help you see things more clearly and boost your confidence. So surround yourself with positive influences who believe in you and believe in your abilities. But it's also essential to set realistic expectations. Understand that failure is a part of the learning process. It's not a reflection of your worth or potential. Every setback is an opportunity to learn and grow, regardless how old you are. Embrace these experiences as stepping stones on your journey to success. Remember, it's okay to make mistakes. What matters is how you respond and what you learn from them. I remember a quote that I think Henry Ford said, which was that he failed his way to success. So success isn't a straight upward line. It's filled with dips, ups and downs, higher, more dips. But the dips show us where our areas of opportunities are. And without those dips along the line, we would likely just flatline because we haven't learned some of the lessons that we should. So adopt an attitude where you embrace the setbacks, embrace the failures, because they act as a spring that propels you forward. And lastly, just take action. Sometimes the best way to overcome self-doubt is to simply start. Break down your goals into smaller, manageable steps and just take the first one. Don't feel that you have to have all of your ducks in a row. This is one of the worst things that you can do, is to feel like you you have to have everything perfectly in line before you begin. Most people that think that way never get started. Most of the most successful people at what they do didn't overthink it. They just started. Action builds momentum, and each small achievement can help chip away at those doubts. So to recap, acknowledge your fears, focus on your past successes, practice positive self-talk, seek support from those that you trust, set realistic expectations, and finally, take action, ready or not. That's kind of what I really wanted to talk about today in this video. If you found any of it helpful or inspiring, or you could even just take one little thing I said and use it to your advantage, great. And if you did, make sure to like, subscribe, and share your own experiences in the comments below. I'd love to hear about how you're overcoming your own doubts and pursuing your passions, what they are, what projects you're setting out on. So thanks everyone for watching. Until next time, trade wisely, live fully, and never let self-doubt hold you back. See you soon.